What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Talk Talk Punch. I am Brody Hanson, here with Charlie Hickman.
How's it going?
It's going. How you going?
Good. Fine.
Oh. So Charlie and I were just having this discussion on the word fine. Is fine a good word, or is it a not good word? If you said something was fine, isn't that fine? It's fine.
Let me paint you a scenario. It's your wedding day, and you are getting dressed in whatever attire you deem to be the attire that you want to look on your wedding day. Beautiful dress, beautiful tux, whatever in between. And you go to your best man, your maid of honor, one of your family members, butterflies in your stomach, nerves on your mind. And you say, "How do I look?" And they look at you, look up and down, and then they say, "Fine."
Well, if you say it like that, then sure.
Okay, fine.
That's way better. That's way better.
You look fine.
You look fine
is, you know, when you say you look fine, you're eating a hot dog and you squirt mustard all over your shirt and you're like, "Oh, can I go out like this?" And then your spouse says, "You look fine." Oh, you're wearing sweatpants and some socks and sandals, and you're like, "Oh, can I really go out like this?" And she's, "Nah, you look fine. You look fine." That's what fine is. Fine is not, "Oh, honey, you look fine." Fine means like adequate, acceptable, the lowest level of compliment that you could give, just above not bad. Not bad.
What's wrong with not bad? What's wrong with not bad?
How do I look? Not bad. You don't look good, but you don't look bad. It's not bad. It's not bad.
But not bad means good.
No, not bad means not bad. Like literally. It's good means good.
What else would it be if it wasn't bad?
It can be okay or mediocre or meh or fine.
Fine.
Yeah.
Which is
good. But it doesn't mean great. Not bad. Never say to someone you love that they look not bad when they're coming to you for reassurance on their appearance. Never. How do I look? Not bad. How was dinner tonight? Not bad. How was your, not bad is after the end of a long work day and someone says, "How was your day?" And you're like, "Not bad. Not bad." That's where we use that, people.
All right. Okay.
Language, it matters. Choose your words.
Speaking of not bad, we're talking TV shows tonight, Charlie.
Woo! That's not bad. That's great. That's fantastic.
There we go. We are doing our top 10 TV sitcoms according to us.
Hey, that's a catchy title. I like it.
Not according to the world, not according to IMDb. Nope.
No.
Totally personal preference.
Personal preference.
Charlie, you are a TV guy.
I am a TV guy. Can I just say to the people out there, I was raised by a television. So when I was a young man, they stuck a TV in my room, and I have always been a bit of an insomniac. So like 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, I just stay up watching Nick at Night, like the Nick at Night reruns of like Taxi or Dobie Gillis or Patty Duke or Gilligan's Island or whatever, whatever shows they might have on. And that habit has stayed with me since I was a young man. So I've watched a lot of TV in my day, and I'm a big fan.
So how was building this list for you?
This was hard. This is the hardest. We've done a lot of lists. This is the hardest list we've done. And
it was hard for me too.
We had different reasons why it was hard. For me, it was hard. I have 26 shows, and I was like, 26.
My goodness, Charlie.
How do I pick 10? And I narrowed it down to 10 by, I had to bend the rules a little bit. So we're doing sitcoms, and I just eliminated all animated shows. I like too many animated shows. It was too hard. The list was too long. So I just took all of those out to make my life a little easier. I know you probably have an animated show or two.
I did not do that. I did not do that.
Good. But I just wanted to streamline my list. And so that made it a little bit easier for me to fit 10 in. But even there's still like 11 to 15. Woo, some good shows.
I wound up with 11. And the 11th one was the show that I watched like the first season of. And I don't remember anything about it.
That's a clear number 11 then. That's quite a cutoff. So from your 10th favorite show to a show that you know nothing about and only saw one season of. That's the
Yeah.
Cliff,
Yeah,
that's the cliff right there, bro. to
apparently
fall
I
off
don't
of.
watch a whole lot of sitcoms. Is what I gathered as I was building this list. I even went online and found like the 100 greatest sitcoms of all time list and scrolled
Eh,
through them all, and I was like, there are a lot of these I've never seen. Now there are also shows that I want to see. There's shows on there that
there
I'm
you go.
like, spoilers, like Arrested Development is not on my
Oh,
list. I've never seen it. I hear people say like, "Oh, Brody, you should watch that," and I'm like, I should watch that.
you should watch
That
that.
looks
You
like
should
a
have
funny
watched that
show.
already.
I know it's 10 plus years old or something. I don't know. It's
Bro,
something
it's old.
I'd like to watch. Just haven't gotten around to it. So there's a little spoiler. Arrested Development is not on my list because I've never seen it. But yeah, this list was hard for me, but I did it.
So the first season of Arrested Development, by the way, 2003.
Oh
So
my gosh.
yeah,
So we're 18 years old. It's legally an adult. I've never
is.
seen it.
To be fair though, like seasons like 4 and 5 were a lot more recent.
Were they? Those are the ones
Yeah.
that they put onto Netflix, right?
Yeah, it's like season 4 was like 2013, and then season 5 was like
so still
2018.
7 years old.
Yeah, and well, the most recent season was 2018. Big gaps, which spoiler alert, is part of the reason why. Anyway, it didn't make my list either. Even though I love the first 3 seasons of Arrested Development, I think it stands up with any 3 seasons from any show, in terms of humor and presentation, influence on shows that came after it. But man, the Netflix season 4, and then the big gap, and then season 4, and then the big gap, and then season 5. And even the cast was like, even they didn't like it. Was sad. It was too bad. It should have been season 4 right after season 3, and season 5 right after season 4, and then that thing might be number 1 on my list.
So it's not still going then?
No, it's done.
Oh,
but watch seasons 1 through 3. Do yourself a favor and check that out, and then at that point you can decide if it's worth it to just experience season 4 and 5 just to say you finished it.
There you go.
All right.
All right. Well, we have our top 10 lists. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right, Charlie, what's your number 10?
So I walked you through a little bit of my methodology, and
Yes.
just, I had a huge list of shows, narrowed it down to about 26, and then I took out animated shows,
So many.
cutting it down even further, and then got it down to 10.
So many shows.
There are really 3 things that I thought about. Number 1 is, did it make me think? Number 2 is, did it make me feel? And number 3, and probably most importantly, did it make me laugh? And those are kind of like the 3 things that, a really good sitcom, in my opinion, can do at varying degrees or levels. There were some shows that on this list that do all 3. There's some shows that maybe just do 1 really well. But my number 10 show is Ted Lasso, which there's only 1 season of so far, which is why it's number 10. It is so good. It might be the best first season of a TV show I've ever seen. And it could be that I'm just a big Bill Lawrence fan. Spoiler alert, there'll be some more Bill Lawrence on my list. But it also could be that it's just fantastic. It could also be that it is a show that makes you feel good while also like, I don't want to spoil anything. So I'll just say, in the year 2020, I needed a show like this.
Okay.
That made me laugh, that made me tear up, that made me feel good, and that made me think that there are good people out there doing good things, and that the world is not a heap of waste. And so this was a great like escape show. This was a great feel good story with some real serious downs and some really some characters with some depth to it. Very funny premise. So they're you see the football field behind me. So the football of Europe, where they bring an American football coach over to coach soccer. I'm just gonna call it soccer. That's okay. We're all friends. And so and he knows nothing about the sport. Jason Sudeikis is great. The whole cast is fantastic. I cannot recommend it. Look, it looks a little hokey. He's got the mustache. If he's got the southern drawl, you might see a preview for it and think, it's weird.
I saw like an Apple Plus thing.
It is really, really like this it's number 10 on my list only because there's only one season. But
Gotcha.
having said that, this might be the one that I would recommend the highest for you to go out and watch right now. Well, maybe the second highest. Check it out. It's a hard one to find just because you have to have the Apple subscription to watch it, but
Yeah.
worth it. Really good. Treat a friend. Treat a friend to a subscription. Buy yourself some, I guess, a DVD if they make them of this. I assume. I downloaded it on iTunes. I don't know. Worth it. Worth your time.
Interesting.
Brody, what's your number 10?
You've talked about that one a lot.
I really like it. Go see it.
Okay. All right. My number 10, really more like a childhood thing. I have
Gargoyles.
Does that count as a sitcom?
I don't know. I remember you used to love Gargoyles.
Oh, yeah, it's a great show. It's on Disney Plus.
Hey,
It's still good. No, it's The Simpsons.
hey.
Now it's number 10 because honestly, I haven't seen The Simpsons in a long time.
That's fair.
But I loved it as a kid. I used to record all the episodes on VHS, and I was like, I'm gonna get all the episodes. That lasted probably like a season or two.
VHS. Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so it's just it's funny, it's iconic, it's kind of all that stuff, and it's good. It's quotable, and everybody knows The Simpsons. And when I was in like junior high, it was like the best thing ever. I don't even know how to watch like newer episodes. It's
Disney Plus, man. Just go. They got like 30 seasons of.
I know they've got everything on Disney Plus. I've thought about trying to dive back in, but I don't. We'll see. But I loved it as a kid. It was good. It was like that right amount of like, well, it's a cartoon, but it's kind of adult, and I feel cool watching it, and things like that. And so that's why it's number 10. And I just haven't watched it in a long time. So that's my number 10.
Obviously, I don't have Simpsons on my list because I took the animated shows off. Yeah. That was a hard one for me to think about, just because it's been around for so long and been a part of like so many different periods of my life.
Yeah, right.
And now it's like coming back and being a part of my life again all of a sudden because my kids like it. So it's been pretty cool to show that. But I remember I have vivid memories of like pretending to be asleep and then flipping my TV on and watching the Tracy Ullman show. Okay. I was really young, way too young to
before it was even a show.
Yeah, and only so I could watch that little animated segment.
Oh my goodness.
Of The Simpsons on there, and then it became its own show, and
yeah.
You weren't allowed to wear Bart Simpson gear at my junior high. You couldn't wear like a Don't Have a Cow Man, anything like that. They'd make you turn your shirt inside out, and if you were a rebel if you had this the slingshot shirt, and so it's neat for that to come full circle. It's been really fun, like kind of picking my way through different seasons and showing highlighting some different episodes for the kids, and they really have had a lot of fun watching that. And we watched every year for like holidays we pop on some of those Christmas episodes,
and the Treehouse of Horror episodes were all so good. Like I loved those. Around Halloween time when I was young. It's wild that it's still going. It's so crazy that it's been going since 1989. It's wild. Oh, right. Okay. Well, how about?
So number 9 for me.
Yep.
By no coincidence, we got the Cloud9 store behind me. Number 9 on my list. I put towards the bottom shows that were still on because, like, who knows how they're going to end. So this is the final season of Superstore. Oh, the show is Superstore, by the way. I should say that for people like you who have never seen it, have no idea what Cloud9 is.
Nope.
So season 6 is the final season. It's like, I think it's like maybe 4 episodes in right now, and who knows with like COVID and production schedules, when it's going to actually finish. We talked about it on some past episodes, so we don't need to rehash. But I don't like to watch seasons 1 episode at a time anymore. I will wait until season 6 is finished, and then I will probably watch all of Superstore again from start to finish, and then say goodbye to the store that's closing. And I'm hoping and part of the reason I do that is because I get nervous about finales. I hope it's good. I hope it's like the last season of. There's some shows I'm sure we'll talk about later where they just like we already talked about Arrested Development, where just some of those,
Yeah,
how a show ends is really important. The ending is what stays with you is really important.
it is.
But look, Cloud9 is hilarious. It's got a vibe. If you like The Office, it's got a bit of that vibe to it.
Okay.
It's not like that documentary style, but just the way, if you watch it, you'll kind of see what I mean almost right away. I think it's a pretty strong show right from the start. There's a character named Dina who's a female. It's got kind of a little bit of Dwight Schrute and got a little bit of the goofy boss, but not in like that awkward, uncomfortable, like the Michael Scott Tot Drive episode that I can't even watch because it's just like so uncomfortable. Anyway, it's if you like that episode, you might actually be a psychopath. But it's a great. I love Superstore, and they managed to deal with like really serious, like important life issues in a way that I think it comes off as still like fun and engaging, even though like they're dealing with important stuff.
Sure.
And I don't want to spoil anything, so I won't get too deep into what they talk about on the show, but I think it's really well worth a watch. And it's kind of like just a group of people working at like a Walmart type store, big box type store, and their adventures in life together. Very sweet. And there was an Amy as the female lead. Amy, she's American Ferrara. She's great.
There you go. How many seasons are there of this show?
So there's 6 seasons. So and the 6th one is the last, unfortunately. Yeah, but it's good. It's worth a watch. You should try it because I know you like. I think this will fit into a genre of show that you enjoy, and that give it a chance, and you'll probably know right away. Give it time to grow on you, but yeah, it's good. I recommend it.
Interesting. Okay, my number 9. I have Seinfeld as my number 9. It hasn't been going for a while now, but I remember. So, little story. Back in like junior high, Seinfeld is going, Friends is going, and I remember all my friends talking about Friends, and they're like, "Oh, Brody, you got to watch this show. It's on like Thursday night at this time," and I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." And so I go home and I'm just watching TV early. So I go to that channel and Seinfeld was on before Friends. And so I watched Seinfeld and I laughed and I thought it was super funny. And then I watched Friends and I was like, that's okay. And I went back and they were like, "Oh, did you watch Friends and this and this and this?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's fine." But like, that show before it was really funny. And they were like, "I don't know what you're talking about." And so there's my little Seinfeld introduction, how I was introduced to Seinfeld. But like that is a show that I think is so funny and it's so random and like it for it being like a 90s show, like it feels kind of timeless because of the stuff that they're doing is just so ridiculous, and it's just you can kind of like watch it whenever and enjoy it, and you can watch one episode and have a lot of fun. Sure. And not worry about like, oh, well, what happened like the episode before this? What's going to happen like the episode? Like, it's just an episode and they do something and then they're done. And it's great. Like, and that's one that I think I, could still watch now and just enjoy it and just have fun with it. I don't even know where it's streaming nowadays, but I think it's on Hulu or something.
I think it's on Peacock.
Is
for
it
sure,
Peacock
like
now?
The NBC.
Okay.
I know they just took back The Office. I don't know if Seinfeld's exclusively on there or not, but
okay.
Let us know in the comments if it's somewhere other than the NBC Peacock app.
Yeah,
you're right. Like that is a low investment to like the investment to enjoyment ratio on that show is like you pop in and get a bunch of laughs and then and get out. It doesn't require a lot of energy or time to just have a good like solid 20 to 30 minutes of laughing and fun.
That was like the perfect show when there was cable, and because it was always on syndication and there was just like always Seinfeld episodes someplace, and you could be like 10 minutes, 15 minutes into the episode and just start watching and enjoy it. And then the episode would be done and you're like, that was great.
Yeah, that was so that one didn't make my list. It's an honorable mention. It's part of the larger group of 26.
Oh my goodness.
I did love
funny.
Seinfeld, and I look at this, my list and your list, it's not a list of the best of all time or the most influential of all time. But if it was, I mean, Seinfeld would be up on my list. At the time, sitcoms were all, it was, it's a lot of it's families, it's like life lessons that, they kind of wrap things in a bow,
The Full
you got
House and Family Matters.
yeah, you got the will they won't they, and Seinfeld really stayed away from that. They didn't they say, oh, Elaine and Jerry, they dated before, and what a cast. I mean, just the whole
Yeah,
cast was
right?
fantastic. But it didn't make my list. While I appreciate the low investment to maximum enjoyment ratio there, I have kind of fallen in love with more of like that linear storytelling where we
Okay.
get your jokes that build on themselves, and you get to kind of, and the characters actually show some growth. Which is, and talk about a disappointing finale like that. The finale to Seinfeld was a real so I do kind of wish that had been a little bit better of an episode. But yeah, but great show.
Yeah, I had heard that they didn't want to end it, and that was actually like, I think it was. I just read something recently where it was Rob McEllery from Always Sunny, and he was actually talking to Jerry Seinfeld, and Seinfeld had told him like, just don't end it, like just just keep going as long as you want to. Don't feel like there has to be like an end point.
Right.
And so it was,
it's clearly taken that to heart. It's Always Sunny boys.
It sounded like Seinfeld, like they could have kept going for a while,
Yeah.
So, but
that would have been nice.
yeah. So that's my number 9, Seinfeld.
Okay, perfect.
How about your number 8?
My number 8 is a show, another one that's still on the air currently. It is Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
See your backgrounds and figure out what it is before you say it.
You got no shot on these because you haven't seen them. But
no, this is actually a show that I've wanted to watch.
I know. I thought you were about to say this is actually a show I've seen, but no, this is a show that I know exists.
I know it exists.
Says Brody. I'm gonna put that on a T-shirt or a mug or something. I know this exists. Brody Anson. This is another great ensemble cast show, and Captain Holt might be one of like the best sitcom characters of all time. Andre Braugher, who was on Homicide. I don't know if you ever watched Homicide: A Life on the Street. My sister enjoyed that, and then she lent me her DVDs once. And I watched. He's just a great dramatic actor, fantastic actor, and then he just comes out and just delivers these comedic lines in a way that just is absolutely perfect. And
this has sure. Terry Crews, right?
It does, and he's great. And like the whole cast is great.
Terry Crews.
I was not sure if I was going to enjoy Andy Samberg in this. Like, just my exposure to him had basically been SNL, and I don't remember if I saw Hot Rod before I saw Brooklyn Nine-Nine or not. Okay. But Hot Rod's not a bad movie. Not a bad movie. Not a good movie. See, that's how you use not bad. It's not bad. It's not bad. But I love Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and I think it's funny. It's got some nice touching moments. It's got the bromance between Jake and Boyle, and like a really solid cast of well-developed characters, and it's got a nice little niche like with the precinct and like the ability to tell stories through the lens of like police cases and things like that. Another little fact about my childhood is I've always had a police procedural or detective procedural. That's like one of the only things I inherited from my parents was a love of shows like Remington Steele and Murder, She Wrote and Father Dowling Mysteries and Columbo and things like that. And there aren't a lot of great like little TV mysteries these days. So this is a fun one. You get like a little bit of that, but then you get a whole lot of comedy and plenty of heart. I think you and Amy would really like this. And then while you're watching it, I think when we talked about couples, I did mention that my wife and I are maybe personality-wise quite a lot like Jake Peralta and Amy Santiago. So we bear some of those, and so you guys might get a laugh out of that every now and then when you think of that. So good show. Recommend it. It's season 8 is going to be starting sometime. So
season 8 has been around that
it almost stopped after like season 4, I think. So I'm really glad it got saved and went. I'd love to see a behind the scenes of how all that spun out, but really glad it's still around and still ticking, and I look forward to seeing what they do.
Do you know where's this streaming?
This one is on Hulu for sure. And then I was on Netflix for a while. I think it might just be Hulu now, though.
Okay.
But yeah.
I think I may have seen an episode of this.
It's good. And it gets better. Like ensemble shows, by and large, always get better as the show goes on. You can really pick anyone that you want, because in the beginning it focuses on like one or two singular characters, and then there's a bunch of side characters who are slow or who are developed slower. But usually those end up being the most enjoyable characters in any show. And so, whether it's Brooklyn Nine-Nine or Superstore or some other ones, I'm sure that will be on our list. As the shows kind of steamroll forward, you start to see those side characters take on more lines and more roles. And it just gets better and better because I don't know, they can spread the comedy out, and some of those B storylines to those A storylines sometimes even outshine the A storylines. So it's kind of a neat. I think it's a neat cast, and without kind of getting too detailed, you get the idea. It's fun one, and I think it's worth like just kind of sticking with if you're kind of at all entertained by the first few episodes that you watch, because it just gets better.
There you go. All right, my number 8. Now this is one that I'm curious if you've ever even seen this one.
Tell me.
You watch a lot of TV, so I'm guessing maybe you saw it, but I don't know. My number 8 is Gallivant.
I have not seen it.
You haven't seen Gallivant?
And your background didn't help me at all. So.
Oh my goodness. I don't have the fancy stuff you have.
I'm not sure I've ever even heard of it.
Really? Okay, so this is one that was
on the musical one? Is that the one where they sing?
Yeah, it's a medieval musical. The Alan Menken did the music for it.
I do love Alan Menken. I love Alan Menken.
I know you love Alan Menken, which is why I'm a little bit surprised. But I wasn't sure. I was like, I think it only lasted like 2 seasons. It didn't go for very long. But it was so funny. And just in this medieval setting, and it had all these kind of medieval tropes to it, and then you had like Alan Menken songs, and it was funny because you could hear like the little bits of like some of his like previous work, not like obvious, but just when you hear like John Williams do Superman, and then you hear Star Wars, and you're like, I hear that same stuff. You hear the same type of stuff through Gallivant, as you're like, that sounded a little bit like Little Mermaid. That sounded a little bit, like like Beauty and the Beast or something like that. And yeah, it was funny, and it just it was one that Amy and I watched. And like I said, it didn't go for very long, but
it's 2 seasons, looks like.
Yeah, just 2 seasons. It was just recently on Netflix. And I think it came off of Netflix. My guess is it's probably heading to Hulu. I think Disney's probably pulling all their stuff back.
Right.
But like if you like just silly, it did have a storyline to the whole thing. Right. It wasn't just like each episode was its own little thing. It did have an overarching story. But the characters were funny, and you follow the guy Gallivant as he went to save his girlfriend, and there was the evil king, and it was just, they had to go through this like adventure, but they're all singing at the same time, and they're singing these Alan Menken songs, which just adds to it.
Timothy Amundsen's in that. I like him a lot from Psych.
Yeah,
he's good.
Yeah, it was really funny. We kind of took a chance on it. Somebody else had recommended it to us, and they were like, "Oh, you should give it a shot." And then we did, and we really liked it. We're sad to see it go. It did kind of. I don't think they were planning on it only being 2 seasons. I think season 2 did leave a little bit of a cliffhanger, and then it didn't come back, and that's
too bad.
That was kind of a bummer, because it was like, oh, they were obviously like setting up some stuff, and then it didn't go anywhere. But
this is the start of the revival, bro. Right here, right now.
The Gallivant
You're watching
revival.
This. Let's start a petition. Let's get it out there.
It's only been like 5 years.
Bring it back.
But it's a good one. If you haven't checked it out, you like musicals, Charlie, you might like this one. I think you.
If I can find it, I'll watch it.
I think you'd think it was funny.
I'm sold. I'll tell you what. I'll watch everything in your list that I haven't seen. You watch everything on my list that you haven't seen, and then it'll even out. That's
not even, Charlie. That's not even at all.
All right. So, can you guess what the next one on my list is?
Scrubs.
Hey, look at you. Is that a show that you've seen or just a show I know exists?
A show
Brody
I
Hanson.
know exists in a hospital.
Well done. So this is another Bill Lawrence show, and if apparently you haven't seen, I was going to say if you've seen Scrubs, you have not seen Scrubs. You haven't seen any episodes of Scrubs? You
I don't
run
think
into
I've
that at
ever
all?
seen a single episode of Scrubs. No.
All right. Well, that this one is also on Hulu, so you can work your way through that if you want. This show is something that I really, really enjoyed watching it, like as it was unfolding, and I'm younger than Zach Braff and some of the main characters, but as you're kind of watching it, you're kind of catching up. It's like similar life stages and things, and so it was kind of cool to kind of grow with that. I mentioned Carla Turk on the couples episodes. I'm a big fan of those characters and just kind of their love story they get to see from like courtship through dating, engaged, married, and then parents, and which is kind of fun because those are life stages that I've kind of traveled through. And it's one of those shows where depending where you are in your life when you sit down to watch it, you might be more drawn to certain characters, might be drawn to certain storylines than others, and then at different points in your life you might get a little bit more frustrated. Like the first time I watched it, very heavily invested in the JD Elliott storyline, and then now kind of going back and watching it where I am now, much less invested in that and much more invested in like the Carla Turk storyline. And so you just and the there's just different. It's another big ensemble cast. With the JD janitor stuff is just fantastic and hilarious. A lot like Ted Buckland. And I should have looked up the actor's name. Rest in peace. He was just always like a scene stealer whenever he was on the show, and he passed away like this last year, and I was really sad to hear that.
This went for a long time, didn't it?
Yeah, it went for a long time. So it started in like 2001, and it went I think 8 seasons.
Okay.
Although the eight seasons, and then there was a 9th season, but the 9th season was like Saved by the Bell, the new class. It was like they brought in a bunch of new like characters, and people had it like at a teaching school, and I think Zach Braff was like in one episode, and it wasn't very good, and it didn't last very long. So they they had certain like cameos from like the original cast kind of showing up here or there, but it wasn't like
all those poor actors that came in. They're like, yeah, we're getting Scrubs, and then they're like,
they knew what they were getting into. They had to know. Sam Lloyd, excuse me, my apologies. Gosh, Sam Lloyd was fantastic. He played Ted, and probably my favorite little side character, but so many great like inside jokes. And at the core of all of this was like the friendship between JD and Turk. And one of the things that probably will be overrepresented on my list are shows that just have like a deep friendship involved in them, because that's the kind of stuff that I'm really drawn towards. That's the kind of stuff that I like watching. I like enjoying that. I think that's more, it's just something that I can root for and get more invested in than just like a generic romance storyline. The will they, won't they, those are fine, and those are good, and those can be really compelling. But for me, like that bond of friendship, like a Brody Charlie kind of relationship, that speaks to my heart more, especially now at this age where it's a little bit harder to make friends. I feel like I got my love story, and now I just kind of I'm what I miss is I don't miss the courtship and the dating. I miss my friends, having that just group of friends around, and so shows like this that have like that at the core, the center, like the friendships, those are ones that I'm drawn towards more, and I do really enjoy. There's some uneven storylines at some certain points, but I really like it, and it has a nice again like a nice little hook with the hospital where they get to tell some really touching and emotionally moving storylines through the patients there. The Brandon Fraser arc on Scrubs, so good.
Interesting. Yeah, I've never seen any Scrubs before.
It's not too late. It still exists. Hulu.
Is it on Hulu?
It is.
There's a lot of stuff on Hulu.
Do you guys have Hulu? You should get Hulu.
We're
not sponsored by Hulu, but maybe we could get sponsored. If we say Hulu enough, will the algorithm tell Hulu to sponsor us?
Probably not. No,
they need our help. No one knows about Hulu.
I thought about getting Hulu because they have the Disney Plus Hulu ESPN bundle. I probably wouldn't use the ESPN, but
you never know.
But the Disney Plus and Hulu, I was like, oh, that'd be interesting. But then I signed up. I got like in the 3-year for Disney Plus deal, and I can't like add Hulu onto that.
Right.
So it's like, well, maybe at this point, maybe in 2 years.
We're going to turn you into a TV guy. And in order to do that, we're going to need you to get Hulu. So we're going to need you to get on that. All right. What's your number 7,
I've
bro?
got TV series I've watched. I've got 10 right here.
Let's hear number 7. I can't wait.
My number 7 is The Last Man on Earth.
Oh, interesting.
Did
Is
you
it 'cause
watch
of the
this
beard?
one?
I watched the first season of it, maybe the first 2 seasons of it, and then I did not see the rest of it. That's around the time we cut the cord with cable, and then I just didn't pick it back up when it finally showed up on streaming.
Okay.
Talk to me about it.
So it's the Will Forte TV comedy where it's something has happened that there are very few people left in the world. The first season was a bit odd. It had a really small group of people. It kind of was in the like first season of The Office type of thing, where like the first season of The Office, like Michael Scott was not enjoyable to watch. Will Forte was kind of that in the first season of Last Man on Earth, where you were like, you're really just kind of a jerk. Like, I kind of like, are you the bad guy of this show? Because like you're doing things that are like cruel to other people. And then in later seasons, they were able to kind of mold that into kind of the lovable idiot who still makes really bad choices, but he's kind of charming. So you're kind of like, okay, well, that was a really stupid choice, but okay. And as the group grew, it did get more enjoyable. And now this was right around the same time that there was a way I was watching this. I think we actually had like a family member's login, like their cable login, so we were able to watch it. And then like halfway through the last season, we lost that login, and the family member didn't have cable anymore. So I actually never finished watching this, which is probably why it's like as low. I probably only have like 4 episodes left of the entire series.
Oh, bro, I think it's on Hulu. So just saying, get to it.
Apparently, everything is.
Everything's on Hulu.
And like towards the last season, it did kind of, I don't know, there was some stuff that just didn't. It started getting a little strange, and maybe I should have just finished it. But I really enjoyed like the season 2 and 3. How many seasons did it go?
It's 4 seasons.
4 seasons. So yeah, so seasons 2 and 3 were so funny, and there were some parts that I laughed so hard. There's like just some random celebrity cameos. There's like a Will Ferrell cameo that made me laugh so hard, and to the point that like Amy, like into season 2, she's like, I feel like I need to start watching this with you because like you're laughing at this show so much. And so she actually jumped in. I don't think she ever watched season 1, but she watched, season 2 through where we left off on season 4. And it was just a really funny show, and it had that heart to it. And you had, because it was dealing with like a really dark topic of like all these
world and such.
End of the world, and like people would die like randomly. But I don't know. It was really enjoyable. When I think back now, I'm like, why didn't I finish that? I don't know. But it was good. I think it's at my number 7 because I didn't finish it.
Right.
But I really enjoyed like the middle portion of that series.
I have no authority on this, but I did just, I just, not just now, but like there was a time where I thought, should I pick that back up? It was after the series had ended.
Okay.
And I just looked up, I just think I typed like in a Google search something about like, was the ending of Last Man on Earth satisfying, or something to that effect?
Okay.
And apparently it does kind of end on a bit of a cliffhanger. So I think maybe,
really?
maybe a lot of your shows. I think it was. I don't think they were expecting to be canceled.
Oh,
Or at least
really?
or at least they didn't like.
Oh,
finish.
interesting.
But again,
That seems like a tough show to end on a cliffhanger too.
I didn't want to read spoilers, so I didn't read about it. So that could be
Okay.
totally off base. It just what I saw without seeing information about it. So I would love for you to finish it so then you could tell me if that's true or not. So get Hulu, go on there, watch the last 4 episodes, come back, give us an update, and let us know. Okay. Let us know if it's worth us. If it's worth us starting it.
We'll see. All
right.
All right.
Number 6. All right. Number 6 is my oldest. Is the oldest show on my list?
That's Frasier.
That is Frasier. The chair gives it away.
I was thinking The Fireplace, but
okay. Too. All right. Hey, you've seen that episode of Frasier?
Yeah, I'm sure I have.
You're the worst. So this is the only laugh track show on my list.
I hate laugh tracks.
Laugh tracks are really hard to get past, and I know CBS shows seem to love them. They're hard to get that. But I can excuse it in Frasier because it's an old show and one that I've watched for so many years. 11 beautiful seasons of a lovable character who is on another lovable show called Cheers. So this show probably is a show that is more special to me for sentimental reasons than necessarily the quality of it. But having said that, great cast. John Mahoney, rest in peace, played Frasier's dad, and of course David Hyde Pierce, and really everyone was fantastic. My only complaint, and the only reason it's number 6, I mean, like some of it holds up better than others. This is a show I've probably watched through on a couple of different occasions since it's been on streaming. Another one on Hulu. Okay, if you're out there. But like most of the characters, if not all the characters, with the exception of the titular character Frasier, experience like real growth throughout the show. Niles and Daphne's storyline is really wonderful and super engaging, and probably my favorite. And actually, this will be interesting to no one other than you, Brody. But whenever I watch episodes now, you often remind me of Frasier's dad, and then Frasier and Niles' relationship reminds me of me and Dylan. And so I always just picture you being our dad, and just kind of like, geez, you two. And then like having to like, police us a little bit. And anyway, being the level-headed, reasonable person. And he's
the gray hair, isn't it? The gray beard.
You don't look anything like him. He wishes he had your beard. But like whether it's Roz's character or the Daphne and Niles storyline, even Frasier's father finds, new romance and love by the end. Winnie Malik's on the show towards the end. She's awesome. And then, but Frasier, okay, I'm about to spoil the end of Frasier. So if you have not, at this point in your life, seen the last episode of Frasier and would like to see the last episode of Frasier, spoiler free, maybe just fast forward 30 seconds or a minute here. I'll make
and this is a show that ended 20 years ago, right?
This show. Yeah, this is an old show. So I feel like it started in 93. So really you're without excuse. But it ends with him getting on a plane to chase down a girl to start a new life in another new city, which was the whole premise of the first episode of Frasier, that he's gotten on a plane to get away from Boston, to start a new life in Seattle. So it felt a little bit like circular and a little less like he evolved as a character throughout the show. Like the worst and least interesting storylines were always his dates, that he would find some way to like blow the date and ruin everything and end up single right back where he started again. Those were always the least interesting parts of the show. The best parts of the show were the family dynamics, and then the Roz and then you get the Daphne Niles storylines. Those were always the best parts. But the Frasier Niles relationship, again, like I said, brothers, friends, that stuff. They're brothers in the show, but for me, it's like, I don't have a brother, so I think my brother Brody, friends,
it's true,
partners,
friends.
So, but it's really fun. It's a fun show. It's like some of the episodes are just. There's a few episodes here I would put up against the best episodes from any show. It's very smart, very well written, and really a lot of times just feels like you're watching a play. And the way that it's staged and the way that it's acted, it's just really fantastic. So if you're gonna watch an old show with a laugh track, this is the one.
Did Seinfeld have a laugh track? It did, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
And then yeah.
I think that's the only one that has a laugh
Don't
track. Laugh tracks, they're tough.
Tough.
They're
Tough.
I don't enjoy them. Okay, my number 6. Now this one could be considered a bit low on my list. I have The Office as my number 6. Did The Office wind up on your list?
It just missed.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
But you go ahead. You talk, and then I'll pitch in because I
right.
do love it. I do love it. Like I said, 11 to 15 on my list. Real good stuff.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
This was great. I think what'd this go for? 8 seasons? Something like that. And I think, it's as low as it is because it's really seasons like 2 through 5, maybe.
It went 9 seasons, but that 9th one we can kind of not count. I'm fine with that.
And so I watched all of it. It's, there's not a whole lot of shows that I got quite invested in like I did with The Office, especially for how long it went on. And you get invested in the characters and the relationships and all this stuff. It did change over time, and I don't think it changed for the better. I think the change after season 1, when they kind of figured out who these characters were, season 2 was great and 3 was great. Mm-hmm. And I think it was really until probably Michael Scott left. And then like the dynamics just changed a lot. Yeah. You started getting these random like new general managers, and it just wasn't the same.
You didn't appreciate Michael this Will Scott. Ferrell appearance?
I mean, it's fine, but it just wasn't the same.
Yeah. Agreed.
And so really and I didn't like him in season 1. I really I think I disliked him a lot in season 1 to where I almost considered not watching it anymore because I was like, I don't like this guy. He's a jerk to everybody. He's not even like a likable jerk. He's just a jerk. Like it's one of those characters that is so uncomfortable to watch,
right?
That you're just like, I don't even enjoy watching this. And that's kind of where he was in season 1 for me. And then after they kind of figured it out, and I think he dialed it back a little bit in season 2 and made himself more likable. But those early middle, rough, seasons were so good. And the will they, won't they is like, with Jim and Pam was you just wanted them to be together so much. So it's like I said, I don't know if there's any other show even on my list that I went through as long as I did with The Office.
Right.
9 seasons is a long time, and it was like every week we were watching. Like it wasn't even a streaming binge thing. It was like it's Thursday night at 7:00 or whatever time it was, and we were watching The Office. And I don't think I have anything else on my list that was like that. So
yeah, it's a great show, and this show was so influential, I think, on a lot of shows like Parks and Rec and other shows. Totally. I mentioned that Superstore and Michael Schur who did Good Place, like just that. So many good things came out of this show. The first season's tough, and the last 2 seasons are tough. And in season 9, I felt like they got maybe a whole new team of writers in there who just had no appreciation for what had come before, and were characters are being added. Suddenly, cameramen are coming out from behind the cameras, and it just that was a really. Every now and then, there's a show that I'm committed to finishing, but the journey through the end, it's like hard,
Yeah.
just I'm gonna trudge through this, and I'm not really looking forward to the next episode.
Yeah.
And when my wife, this might be like number 1 or 2 or 3, like a top 3 for sure for my wife's all-time favorite shows. But when we rewatched it together, and just we got to that season, we just stopped. We watched the ending wedding episode, the 2-parter.
I did like the finale.
and then just called it.
The finale was good.
And that felt good. It's like, okay, that's the beauty. You don't have to watch it all.
Yeah.
This, you can kind of skip around a little bit. So
yeah. And I did enjoy the finale, having Michael Scott come back, even just his line of like, it's like all my kids grew up and got married to each other. Like, it's still such a funny line.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really good show, and it was I think very funny. I think they did the will they won't they just perfectly and beautifully with the Pam and Jim. It was really great. I didn't care for some of the later Pam Jim choices in like season 8 and 9, but why bicker? Great show, can't argue with that. Just barely missed, and if we'd done this list maybe even just as recently as a year ago, it would have been firmly in my top 10. So
would this have been like number 11? Or 12?
Probably. It was one of my last cuts.
Okay.
I had I don't want to get into what else didn't make the list. Just save it. So
that's a long list of what didn't make the list.
Well, I will run through them quickly without commentary at the end, just to give people an idea of where my head was at. But
yeah, I wonder if I've seen any of them.
And like a month from now, I could redo this list as an exercise, and The Office could just suddenly vault into there. Yeah. I tried to rewatch episodes before it left Netflix. Okay. And I just couldn't get through a ton of it, just because of time. I forgot it was leaving, and then I was like, oh crap, it's leaving. I gotta like pick a handful of episodes, try to put the Yankee Swap Christmas episode on, and Amy's like, no, certain episodes make her very uncomfortable. She's like, that one's out. So anyway, the Scott's Tots episode for me is out. There's a few just that are just unwatchable, but great show.
The Halloween one. Where the guy dressed up as Joker. Oh gosh, so funny. It was so funny. I laughed so hard at that.
I know, you're such a Batman guy.
I am. All right, you're number 5. What's your number 5?
This one?
Oh, that is The Good Place.
Correct. And this was the hardest one for me to find a spot. Not to find. I knew it was going to be on the list. I just didn't know where to put it. And so 5 is a complete cop out. Okay. On the one hand, it's only 4 seasons.
But still going?
And they're short seasons. It's over.
Oh, it's over. It's done. Okay.
And in a lot of ways, this one is really like a journey.
Okay.
You start at little caveat here, little aside to you, the watcher. I am not going to say spoilers for the show.
Thank you.
Out of all the shows on this list, this is the one I think that would suffer the most from spoilers on watching. Knowing the ending of Frasier does nothing to the rest of Frasier. No, I mean literally nothing. I could tell you word for word the ending of the last episode of Frasier, and it would not affect the way that you watch that. And I don't think that's the case for the show. So I'm going to just talk very generally and very briefly about it. But that's one of the reasons why it was a hard one to place, because rewatchability is a factor. And this is not one where you could just put on an episode from season 3 and just be like, yeah, that was a great watch, and then tap out, like I could with The Office, or like I could with Frasier, or some of these other shows that we've already talked about, where you can just jump in and out. And while other shows on my list have like this, storytelling that's like, progressive, where you'll see relationships build and characters, get together and fall in love and things happen, and that continuity is present. This really is like linear storytelling, and you really kind of just watch it in a row. You gotta kind of just, you start season 1, you get to season 2, season 3, season 4, and you just watch it all in a chunk. This would not be a great one to jump in on season 3. This would not be a great one to just, I'll start season 2, no big deal. You got to watch it all. It's a journey, and I would love to have an entire episode just dedicated to the finale one day, because I would love to share my thoughts on it. I will not today, but I would love to have a deep discussion. I will say that out of all the shows that were on this list, none of them probably met those 3 criteria better than this one.
Okay.
It's laugh out loud funny, and there were just some teary moments. I'm weeping. and it makes you think. It's deep, and there is a lot of like really good, interesting philosophy in it, some of which I agree with, some of which I don't. And that's the beauty of philosophy. It's meant to be discussed, and it's meant to ignite conversation and spark debate. And I think the show does a nice job of staying funny while also presenting some pretty interesting concepts, and what do we owe each other, and especially in a year like 2020 where really it's a question that we should be asking ourselves, that caring for our fellow humans, and loving each other, what do we owe each other? And I think it's a great question, and I think the show does a nice job of kind of illustrating some pretty deep philosophical principles while maintaining like really lighthearted and fun comedy, and just the love stories and the friendships. All of it is great. Watch it, experience it for yourself. You may hate it, you may love it, you may be somewhere in between, but I think it's worth experiencing all 4 seasons and seeing it through to the end, just to know. And it's a great one to discuss, I think, with other of your friends or family members who may have seen it. So it's one that you will want to talk about when you finish.
Yeah, since our New Year's episode, I have started this. Amy and I started watching it. We are on episode 3.
Nice.
Currently.
Very good. I hope nothing I said spoils anything for you. I think
Nope.
You're in for a journey, and you're going to enjoy it.
Nope. Okay, my number 5 is, I don't know if you've ever seen this one either.
Oh.
It's a random one. I have Axe Cop as my number 5.
You bought me an Axe Cop comic, or a graphic novel, I should say.
Did I? Oh, good for me. Good for me. Good job, Brody. My goodness.
Good job, Brody.
Man. I think this counts as a sitcom. I don't know.
Tell the people about Axe Cop, because it's got an interesting origin story.
Okay, so Axe Cop was birthed from a comic, and it's at the time, it was like a 26-year-old comic artist was talking to his 9-year-old little brother, and his 9-year-old brother would just tell him the stories, and he would say, okay, tell me about Axe Cop. What's Axe Cop doing? What characters are there? What's the plot? And then he would draw them in like a really good like animation style. But it was just, he might have not even been 9. He might have been like 6 or something like that. And so they're just completely bonkers. They're just off the wall crazy, like the mind of a 6-year-old, 9-year-old. I don't remember.
Yeah.
And so it's this cop who has an axe, and he chops people's heads off, and he fights bad guys, and the bad guys are just these insane creations, and he rides a dinosaur that has machine guns for arms. It's something, but it's so funny. Trying to think of who did the voice. Nick Offerman. Nick Offerman did the voice for the cartoon, and so it's this very like dry, kind of monotone. Like he plays it great, and he's wearing a cop. He's got this big mustache. He always wears sunglasses. At night he might dress up like a cat to go on a stealth mission, and maybe he's going to the moon to battle the ice cream monsters this episode or something like that. And it's just insane. But it's so funny. And Amy and I had read the comic when the comic first came out a long time ago. I don't know when the comic first came out, but the show was on from 2012 to 2015. So it only went, but they were these short,
two seasons. It was
short. But like it was the 22 episodes per season, so a fair amount of episodes.
Yeah,
and just every episode, there wasn't continuity. You jump in at any point and you just watch something, but you just have fun with it. And Amy and I will still say, you know, to the kids, I will chop your head off, like the way that he says it. I will chop your head off, you know. And it's just insane. It's insane because it's from the mind of a 6-year-old, which I currently have a 6-year-old, and I know my 6-year-old boy would tell me these types of stories.
Yeah,
but it is so funny. It is so funny. It is so funny. And this is one that I feel like I could put on anytime. Amy was just asking me the other day. She's like, "When do we get to show the kids X Cop?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know."
Made by a 6-year-old, and they're ready.
I don't know. But yeah, it's great. If you haven't watched it, go watch one episode, because if you enjoy it, it doesn't matter the episode, any episode. Watch one episode. If you enjoy it, you're good for the whole series. Right. If you watch it and you're like, that's too much, don't bother with any other episodes, because they're all going to be like that.
Fair enough. Yeah, hey, I will say this, it is a very unique viewing. So
have you watched X Cop?
It predates like the streaming services. So yeah, I caught a few episodes when it was on, and I read the graphic novel you got. It was funny, very random, very chaotic, but enjoyable. I would be interested in watching it again. Do you know, is it streaming anywhere?
I believe it is on Hulu.
Oh, hey, why not?
Because
everything's on Hulu.
So Amy and I got a free trial to Hulu because we wanted to watch something else, and so we had it for like a month or a week or 2 weeks or something like that. Maybe it was 2 weeks. 2 weeks. And like, of all the things that were on Hulu, we were like, "Oh man, X Cop is on Hulu. We gotta watch X Cop." And we did. So we watched it. It is on Hulu.
True story. The Axe body spray company got the idea to call it Axe body spray because they were big X Cop fans. So that's where that originates from. And the actual original scent is Axe chop, or headless smell. Like,
oh, there you go. This smell of blood.
All right. So my number 4 show. Any thoughts?
What is that?
Dun 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 dun.
Is that Better Off Ted?
No, stop. No, great show though. No, this is 30 Rock.
Oh, I don't know that show. I've never seen that show.
Oh, well, I am not surprised. So, not surprised at all. But you missed out because it's a great show. 7 wonderful seasons. Tina Fey is fantastic. Actually, look, it's another great ensemble cast, really great. But this is like the ultimate, look, spoilers, soft spoil. I'm going to call them soft spoilers because they don't actually spoil the enjoyment of the show, because they never do a will they won't they thing between Liz and Jack, play Alec Baldwin and Tina Fey's characters. But there's this thing inside of us when we see a male lead and a female lead and we like them both and they're both single, that we kind of like think, I'm shipping them. Let's go. You know, you watch Seinfeld and you're like, why doesn't Jerry just settle down with that Elaine? They're so nice, you know, those two. Get them together. And this show does a fantastic job of they won't. They maintain this friendship and mentorship throughout 7 seasons in a world where we're taught from youth, men and women cannot be friends. This show says, I beg to differ. They can be friends. They can be great friends. They can be intimate and close and share deep and personal things with each other. They can even have mutual respect and attraction for one another without it being romantic. At the end of a relationship, like the be-all, the penultimate moment in a relationship isn't necessarily romantic love, that it can just be friendship. And these two have a really fun dynamic, and it's just a really like clever show, really well written, great music. The whole cast is fantastic. My goodness, you got your musical numbers, you got your hammy acting, you got your folksy characters, your writers. You're kind of like it's a little meta with like it's about a show. It's a show about a show kind of thing. So you get a lot of like inside jokes there. It's good. Donald Glover was a writer on there and actually sang one of this. Werewolf Bar Mitzvah, which was anyway, Tracy Jordan was supposed to have sung it, but it doesn't matter. I cannot. This was a hard one for me to place. I can't recommend this one highly enough. I think it's fantastic, and it could have easily been higher. It maybe doesn't have the depth of heart of some of the other ones that like on my list. It doesn't like get you right in here, but there are still some really nice moments. Tracy Morgan manages to be likable in this in a way that I wouldn't think that he could be. It's just like a perfect role for him. I don't know. Yeah, everyone is great. It's kind of launched Jack McBrayer's career. You don't know who that is, but you would recognize his voice because he does a lot of voice work now. I don't know. It's really fun, and it manages to deal with subjects like politics and feminism in ways that are still entertaining and engaging. Just really smartly written, and I think you should watch it. I don't know, Brody. I don't know if this is one that you would enjoy. Okay. I'm not as confident as some of the other ones that I've said you guys would definitely like, but forget him. He's a dud. He doesn't like TV anyway. If you're out there, you've never seen it, this one is on, guess what? Hulu, boom, pop it on, try a few episodes out. Like anything, let it breathe a little bit, get through that first season, but it's really fun. So
how many seasons did this go?
7 seasons.
Oh, that's a long one.
It's good.
It's so many seasons.
You want seasons.
How long were the seasons?
Seasons are good. Long seasons, normal seasons.
Like 22 episodes?
It's like 113 total episodes or something like that. I can look it up. I'll look it up for you. How many episodes?
That's a lot of episodes, Charlie.
That's not that many episodes.
It's a lot.
It's 138 episodes. It's no big deal. 138. You can watch that in a day. This was a fun. I revisited this one during lockdown. This was like a fun one, like when maybe back in summer when we were having a real summer, and this was a great one to like. It's like visiting old friends.
And you watched all of it?
Yeah, in a year where we're not allowed to go outside. I was able to power through 7 seasons of a TV show within a full calendar year. I did it. I'm a real hero.
Oh my goodness. I don't know how you do it.
Can someone just please leave a comment that it's not abnormal to actually finish a television show in a calendar year? That it's a good thing. Power through. These episodes are not as 22 minutes. Come on.
All right. My number 4 is another animated, though my final animated.
Ooh.
I have Archer as my number 4. Now this one I found a bit later in its life cycle. I mean, not like super later, but
what season did you start watching in?
I want to say it was like season 3 that I started watching it, and I found it on Netflix. And so then I like powered through like the 2 seasons. And then eventually Amy joined me and we did it. And I haven't seen any of the later seasons.
What was the last season you've seen? Do you know?
So the last season that we saw was when they were doing like the trucker country Archer Vice. Was that it?
Okay, so that was a long time ago. So there's 11 seasons or 10 seasons now, right? They're going into season 11.
Are they really?
No, they just finished season 11. I'm sorry, there's going to be more. They've just finished season 11. That's right.
Okay, what episode was the trucker season?
So I think that was season 5, I want to say.
Okay.
Yeah, season 5 was Archer Vice. You should watch all of it.
I should. I really liked it. Here's the thing.
Have you gone back and watched seasons 1 and 2, or did you just pick up in season 3?
No. I went back and watched seasons 1 and 2. Okay, and then we watched all the way through the Archer Vice. I really enjoyed it. There is no reason that we haven't finished it other than just like it just kind of fell off the radar. But it's super funny and I enjoy it. I enjoy the ridiculousness of it. I enjoy the characters. Archer is a good combination of, well, he's a jerk, but he's funny, and I think the animation style goes with it really well. The way that the characters are such caricatures of people, I think is really funny. Because they're not real people, obviously. But just, there's
Controversial take, bro.
Krieger. I love Krieger, and they can just do ridiculous things because it's this animated show.
Piggly.
And he's in love with like the anime hologram or whatever, like it's just it's utterly ridiculous. and I love it. I like, honestly, I don't know why we stopped watching it.
Well, start again, young man.
I think we should, and we probably I think we would. I think this is on Netflix, right?
I can tell you for sure, all 11 seasons on Hulu.
Oh my goodness, everything.
I don't know about
Hulu,
Netflix.
Apparently.
Yeah.
It was on Netflix for a long time, and so we watched.
It was on both for a while, but the new ones, I think the new ones are maybe just Hulu. But check it out, because if it's still on Netflix,
it's an FX show. You know what
Yeah.
Disney Plus needs to do? Disney Plus just needs to merge Disney Plus with Hulu, so that it's all just one
Fine with
thing.
me.
And then I just have to have Disney Plus, and then just turn on the Hulu setting, and then I can watch all this stuff.
Set your faces to Hulu. Yes.
But yeah, I really, really enjoyed this show. It made me laugh. I was laughing out loud, which, there's not a whole lot of shows that do that. And that's really like kind of these top 4 were really like, making me laugh out loud.
Yeah.
Like, think back to this scene and I'm laughing. So yeah,
this is probably one of the most quoted shows between me and my friends, just because, whether it's just something as simple as phrasing to just more specific lines throughout.
This is why we have ants. This is how we get ants.
It's great. And I will say that in season 2, the episode Placebo Effect is maybe like one of the best episodes of television that has ever existed. It's part of like the two episode story arc where Archer gets breast cancer.
Okay.
I just think that is like I could watch that episode on repeat. I just think it's brilliant. And like that, they do like seasons 8 through 10 they try some very experimental things because, and I don't want to say why, but I will just say that they do. You'll understand if you watch season 7 why season 8, 9, and 10 are more experimental. But if you enjoy the genres, like season 8 is like a film noir, and season 9 is like an adventure island story, and then piratey, and then season 10 is like a sci-fi. If you enjoy those genres, they're great, and they're good. In my opinion, none of those seasons nearly as good as the previous 7 seasons, just because you kind of get away from, I think, some of like the characteristics of each of the characters that make it really special. But they get back to that in season 11, and I'm excited to see it moving forward, season 12 and beyond. Just because it's really funny.
Yeah.
This would have been firmly in my top 10 if I had included animated shows. So,
well, that season 5, the Vice season was different, and maybe that's kind of where we fell off. Was that it did take this really drastic turn from like being a spy thing to like they're drug smuggling through Mexico or something like that.
So for instance, like in season 9, Krieger's a parrot.
Okay.
Like it's an actual parrot.
Okay.
So or in season 10, Mallory is like an AI on a spaceship.
Okay.
So like, when Pam's like a monster. In season 8, Pam is a man. So it just, so like they kind of like literally changed the characters, and the same kind of names more or less, but like it's like alternate realities where, anyway, I don't want to spoil anything, but I mean, like it's not just like the formulas changes like it does in season 5.
Gotcha.
Because the formula is different for Vice, and but it's but the characters are the same. Season 6, by the way, feels a lot more like seasons 4 and 3, and you actually get to see some growth and some movement in the Archer Lana relationship and some other things. And so there's some really nice moments, most of which go away by the time season 7 hits. So
Gotcha. But yeah, this is one I would like to really pick up again because it's that funny.
All right. Well, my number 3 is one
Top
that you will
3.
never. I could just leave this picture up here for a month, and you would have no idea ever what it is. You're not going to guess it, so there's no point in even letting you try.
It looks like a commercial.
Yeah, it does. It's a kitchen. You may have heard of the name of the show just because I know you watched a show that references this show. So this is the final Bill Lawrence installment of my Bill Lawrence trio on my list. This is Cougar Town. Cougar Town is a show that suffered from having a terrible, terrible title. If you ever watch it on Hulu, all 6 seasons, it starts out, Courtney Cox is playing a woman in her 40s, recently divorced, and she is kind of getting back out there. Maybe she's going to date a younger man. There's like a cougar element for about 4 episodes or so, or 5 episodes. And then quickly the show realizes that ain't it. And what has transpired is that the cast that they've assembled to act in the show, the chemistry is so great, and the interactions that they have together in this very kitchen are so fantastic that it just becomes a show about them. Okay. And the cul-de-sac crew, and beginning even in season 2, they just start making fun of the title and the title sequences. Like they'll say things like naming a show is hard, or should have named this something different, or it's too late to change the title now. And, and so understanding that, just when you hear, I almost didn't watch it because I was like, Cougar Town, that sounds dumb. And I remember just a little personal me story. Back in my youth, when this debuted, I watched the first episode in a bath because I used to have time to take baths before I had kids. It was just like, I'm going to treat myself to a luxurious bath day. I'm going to put on the Cougar Town, and I've never seen it before. It should be interesting. I have my laptop set up on a tray outside of the tub, which I highly recommend if you're going to tub watch. Don't watch in the tub with your electronics. And I just I was expecting to think it was stupid, and it just made me laugh.
Okay.
And the reason this is so high now is because I just started, when I knew we were going to do this list, I started just going back and watching some episodes, just a random assortment of episodes from some of these shows, just to refresh my memory if I hadn't seen them in a while. And this one I just started watching, and I just didn't want to stop. I just kept going. It hits different now. It's a show about people, at a life stage that is closer to mine. Okay. It is it's got at the core, a divorced couple co-parenting that managed to stay really good friends. It's got just really like a nice blend of personalities. It's got parents of a new baby. It's got someone who's 17. My oldest kid he's 10, bro. He's gonna be 11 this year.
It's wild.
He's gonna be leaving the house soon, man. I'm already freaking out. And it's just kind of fun to watch a story that has some Willy Wonka. It's got some love story stuff to it, but there's no hospital. There's no police station. There's no plot device that is like a procedural element. There's no workplace or something to save the show. So either you like the people in the show and the way they interact, you find the dialogue funny and humorous and the relationships engaging, or you will not like the show. There's nothing that's going to bail it out because there's a really cool medical twist, or what a fun little subplot. And Jules can be a lot, played beautifully by Courtney Cox Arquette. Or she's not Arquette anymore. She just Cox. I don't know. Anyway, she does a great job, and at times she's a little much. But I have friends, my friend, Becca, just like her, just very Jules-ish. Oh man! So it's I know these people, but it is a show that is just firmly about people loving each other and being in a chosen family, like a friend, like friends that become kind of like a family, no matter what the circumstances of life are. And that is something that I really miss. This last year, I did not get to spend a lot of time with friends because of COVID. And I really love that aspect of that's my dream. My dream is a bunch of my friends and I live on the same street. Like that's my dream. You know, like there's like
We
4 or
were
5
talking
houses.
about that like 25 years ago.
I want they call themselves the cul-de-sac crew. Like I want a cul-de-sac with my friends, and we just walk into like each of our kitchens and have that. So I watched this show with like a there's a little bit of me that feels like that sadness. Like, oh man, I just wish my friends were closer. I wish you didn't live so far away. You know, I miss this kind of interaction with other humans. So maybe it's the year, maybe it's the time in my life, but this show is fantastic and really fun to watch. And if you do give it a chance out there, I really strongly recommending get through those first 4 to 6 episodes where they're kind of having cougar storylines, and then just stick around. You'll see right away, like there's humor in it that you're either going to connect with or you won't. But if you like Scrubs at all, if you like, you know, if you've seen some of Ted Lasso, if you watched any of Spin City, any other Bill Lawrence's TV shows, you know, and you liked them, then you're probably going to like this because it's got same kind of humor in it, I think, and guest appearances from a lot of the Scrubs alumni. So,
Okay,
Cougar Town, check it out.
interesting. I don't think I've ever even heard of it.
If you've ever seen Community, it's one of Abed's favorite shows, and when it finally gets like canceled, Abed gets really upset about Cougar Town.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And even members from Community guest star on an episode of Cougar Town. You can see like 2 or 3 of them in the background during a scene. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Well, my number 3 is Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Hey.
I wore my Patty's Irish Pub shirt.
Patty's Irish Pub.
Oh. Fun story about this one. Back like 10, 15 years ago, when this was like earlier seasons, I still had hair, had a much shorter beard. I would actually get stopped in the street because people thought I looked like Mac. I went to a baseball game one time wearing this shirt, and somebody stopped me and he said, "I'm really sorry to stop you, but are you actually Mac?" And I said, "No."
You got to say yes, man. You got to take those moments when you can get them. Yes, you know, yes, I am.
So yeah, apparently there's some resemblance there. It's probably not much anymore.
Hey, shave the beard real quick and let's just see. It's really hard to tell when you're with your hands. I mean, just go get. Wait. Show. What would it look like if you just had a mustache? Show us that. Oh, that's so good. You got to do that. If you ever shave the beard, you got to leave that beautiful thick mustache on there. That's so good. I was talking to my.
Do I look like Mac?
You do. You look like Mac, 100%. I will say, just as a quick aside, I was talking to my mom, and she's like, "Does Brody still have that beard?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Oh, it's such a shame. Such a handsome young boy covering that face. Such a shame." I'm like, "Mom, it's a beautiful beard." She's like, "No."
I know your mom has never liked.
She says hello. She sends her love, and she wants you desperately to shave your face.
I know.
She said it in a far worse and meaner way than that. So
I'm sure she did. She has never liked beards, and this beard has never been bigger than what it is right now. So.
All right, it's Always Sunny. So tell us about your show, bro.
Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Now, I started watching this at about season 2, which was when Frank Reynolds came in, the Danny DeVito character.
Right.
And I remember I told you about this show, and you were like, "Isn't that just a show about a bunch of horrible people?" And I was like, "Yes, but it's so funny." The episode of where they introduce the Dark Man, Day Man song, I laughed so hard, and the rest of the episode doesn't really hold up very well because it's the D dates a retarded person, but that the Day Man concert just makes me laugh. I used to just because I had the DVDs, and I would just put on that episode just to watch that sequence of the development of the Day Man. And oh my goodness, it is so funny. and the show is still going. It's now like they just got signed for like the 19th season or something like that, and they're about to
wild.
hit the longest running sitcom of all time, like live action sitcom of all time, which is it's wild for this show about horrible people. But it's and I honestly I haven't watched it in many years. It's just without cable.
How far did you get? Did you get up to like season 10 or 11 or something?
I don't even remember. I can't even remember. I would pick up an episode or two here or there, because it is like there's not an overarching story. You can
pop in and out.
You can jump in and out, and so I would, when I wasn't watching it weekly, I would kind of chime in every once in a while, or if it was on Netflix or something like that, I might kind of jump back in and watch an episode or two. But it's always been funny, and it's the dynamic between those characters is so good, and they all have these characters down so well, and the things that they go through are so funny. And it is sort of like a modern day Seinfeld, right?
Yeah,
like
it has a bit of that vibe for sure.
No overarching story. Each episode is just some zany random adventure or situation that they're going through. But this, it's just I don't know. It's hard to even like describe the show to a point, because it's just these people hanging out in a bar. Right. And what trouble are they going to get into this week? Like that, and that's the show, right? Like, what are they going to do wrong? Who are they going to screw over? Like, Cricket would show up, and it's like, oh my goodness, poor Cricket.
Rickety Cricket.
Fun fact, I was watching him on the Joe Schmo show, which, if we ever do top 10 reality shows, would probably be my number one.
We will not. If you would ever like to do a solo episode on your top 10 favorite reality shows, you can.
Come now, Charlie.
I have none. I've got none.
You've never watched a reality show?
I've never watched and enjoyed a reality show.
You haven't watched the Joe Schmo show? Go watch the Joe Schmo show.
That is fair.
It is the best reality show in the history of reality shows.
I will get, if you ever want to do that show, I'll get my wife to take my place, because she has some reality shows that she loves. She'll come on here. She'll do my half of the top 10.
The Joe Schmo show had Kristen Wiig on it before she was even SNL Kristen Wiig. She was Dr. Pat.
Sorry.
Oh my goodness.
That's my Kristen Wiig impression.
Oh, it was very good. Sorry. So go watch the Joe Schmo show.
Also, I can't make my hand tiny enough.
Go watch Always Sunny, because it's really funny. I'm not even sure what else. Did Always Sunny make your list?
This falls in that 11 to 15 range.
Okay.
Shows that just missed. I do really like. I've seen up through season 11, and I have not. And it was like off of streaming for like a year, and then I just didn't get back to it. It is one I like to revisit. It wasn't one. Like, this wasn't on my list of shows that I wanted to watch in 2020. It just, people not being good people has its place, and I've thoroughly laughed my head off watching the show. It is very funny, but just, for right now where I'm at in my life, it wasn't on my top 10. But it's not like I'm kicking it to the curb, whatever. It's like 12 or 13 or something like that. So great show, very funny. Yeah, you're right. Like I think the Seinfeld comparison is fair, where you're not invested in the people at all. You're not really rooting for the people. You're just kind of enjoying the chaos and like the comedy of it all, and just and it is there's different kinds of escapism, and that's definitely the kind of escapism where you can kind of go and you think your life's bad, watch these people, and you can kind of laugh, and then you can kind of go back and you're right, whew. But yeah, it's a funny show. It's a very, very good show.
Yeah, I don't know how it would be like. I don't know if it's a bingeable show. I don't know if it's a.
I do think that's.
I think
that's a fair point.
Like, I think you might do like 2-3 episodes, and then you'd be like, I'm good for now.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of move on and then revisit when you want to and things like that. I don't think it's a show that you can go through like 20 episodes at a time. I think it would wear its welcome a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. I think there are shows that benefit from how they were originally meant to be seen, like the once a week where you go and
For
you visit
sure.
Patty's pub and it's like, haha, and then you go away for a week versus like, no, let's go. All right, there's 13 seasons. Let's do this. It's, I mean, hey, and some people may enjoy powering through 13 seasons in a row of that show. Yeah, you might want to pace yourself, people. Pace yourself.
Maybe. Okay, right. You're number 2.
All right, my number 2 was my number 1 for a long time, and I'm repping the brand on my shirt here. This is this one, right?
I do, and actually, this is my number 2 as well.
Oh, good. We can both talk about it.
There you go.
This is Community, for those of you who maybe aren't familiar with the backdrop or the shirt. Community is, I just think, one of the most creative sitcoms of all time. Just like the way,
I agree,
the different storytelling mechanisms that they use to, like, whether it's paintball or like the movie storytelling through like Goodfellas, the Pillow Fort, the G.I. Joe episode. I was some really like interesting just ways. Some of it landed better than others. I know season is probably one of the reasons it's not one. Like season 4, Dan Harmon's off the show. Not so affectionately referred to by cast members as the gas leak season. Definitely some like the Troy Britis like romance storyline and some other things that just really were not great in season 4. Still like, having said that, like I'll still watch season 4. It's just not as good. The quality, it's a noticeable dip in quality. And then when Donald Glover leaves the show in season 5, like Troy and Abed are like the heart and soul of that show, and like their friendship. I know I talked earlier about about Scrubs, like JD and Turk, like just like two friends like at the core of a show. It to the cynicism and some of the sarcasm and some of like the harsh edges of other characters, like the heart and soul of that show is like their friendship. It was really fun and really like at the core, I think the best part of the show. They did, it was interesting the way they did, like they dealt with the romances a lot. They really like toyed with the will they won't they, like tongue in cheek. Like like 1 week, Jeff and Britta, and 1 week it's Jeff and Annie, and and they're kind of just they're kind of like purposely toying with the audience a little bit, having some fun with that. The finale was really great. I know that 6th season on like Yahoo was a little bit different, but
it was interesting.
Yeah, but that's one of my favorite. Like the finale, I thought was just really, really well done, and I teared up. It was an emotional finale. But like, yeah, that's another great ensemble cast.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they featured the character of Chang a little too much at times, but Dean Pelton is like one of the great sitcom characters of all time. The Dean.
Oh, I love the Dean. I love the Dean. I would laugh whenever he would walk in with a new costume and
just chewed scenery. So good.
Yeah. This was great. You turned me on to this one. I want to say it was like right after season 1. I think you actually bought me the DVDs and just sent them to me.
As soon as Abed did that Batman impression, I was like, "Oh, Brody's got to see this episode."
Yeah, and so
the Halloween episode.
You just sent me the DVDs and you said you have to watch this, and so we watched it, and then we were hooked from there. And yeah, I think those first couple seasons were really great. It's interesting watching like the first couple episodes, especially because it started a very different type of show. Like it started kind of a standard format show.
It did,
until it kind of branched and they were like, we're just going to do our own thing. And, and then it went from there. But then once they started kind of losing cast members, they lost Chevy Chase, they lost Troy, and that's when it took a little dip for me, because I was like, well, I miss like grumpy Chevy Chase, and I miss having Troy and Abed there. Troy and Abed in the morning. Like you don't get Troy and Abed in the morning. And so, yeah, the first couple seasons where you have that group was just so good. And having the themed episodes I thought was so creative. And okay, well, this episode, it's going to be all about this pillow fort and what's going to happen. And there's going to be groups that are formed out of this pillow fort. And like, and then the next week, like, it's just this new kind of thing, but then there is kind of these overarching character development things that they're going through, but it is just a great combination of these storylines, but every episode really is its own thing. And that is one, I think Community is something I could go back and rewatch, and like at any time. I've thought about, because I've seen it's on Netflix right now, and I've thought about, like, boy, that I would really like to go through Community again, because it's so funny.
Yeah, it's really great show, and it is like, this is another one where you can go either way. You could watch it linear, like episode to episode, and there are like jokes that build, there are relationships that build, chemistry that builds. You can also, like, especially once you've seen it all, you can pop in, just watch your favorite episodes and just enjoy it. That's something that I did for, in prep for this. I just kind of like went back and I'm like, oh, does it, I haven't watched it in like, a year or so, and put on some of those episodes, and it's like, all right back. Oh man, the chicken fingers episode, so good. Or, skipping around some paintball episodes, some different episodes. The back half of season 2 is so good. And they're just, when this show is at its best, it is just like, I don't think there's a show that rivals it. But if you haven't seen it, watch it. And just like Brody said, it does kind of start out like feeling very like a conventional sitcom approach, and then it does just kind of flip that approach on its head. So give it some time to build, for sure.
All right, this is it. Number one.
Number one. Are we ready for this?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
All right, I'm gonna put the picture up, and then you can tell me if you can guess what show it is.
Oh goodness. Is that My Name is Earl?
No, that's a good guess. So this is Schitt's Creek, and
I should have known that.
You should have known that
about this show. You've talked about how much you love this show.
I love the show.
What was I thinking?
I don't know. That's a blast from the past. I didn't even think about that. Bertie used to love him some Jason Lee. So all right. So look, there is not a show on this list that I have watched from start to finish with like more like with like being enthralled by like the characters that were in it. It's a weird way to say that. Let me unpack that a little bit, because this is a recent show. It just ended, 6 seasons. These shows need movies, right? Because the 6 seasons in a movie. So a lot of these shows ended at 6 seasons. Cougar Town.
We never got the Community
Schitt's Creek.
movie. But...
No, maybe it's not too late. Come on, I know you're watching, Dan Harmon. Let's make this happen. Look, this starts out like in a very similar place to Arrested Development, which is another show that I love, where like a rich family has kind of lost everything. And if you just watch like the first few episodes, the people are largely insufferable, because that's the characters. Like, they're coming from a place of shallowness and wealth, and then they're forced to live in this kind of like rundown town called Schitt's Creek, with like Christopher Elliott as the mayor, and a very like
I love
like an incredible.
Elliott.
Oh, he's great, he's fantastic in the show. Fantastic. The acting in the show is so good. The wardrobe, the costumes in the show are so good. Like every aspect of the show is like they thought through the details, and like the show handles the changing dynamics of a family so beautifully, and it just like by the end of the 6th season, it's like my wife and I watch it, we're crying, we're just like, oh man, it was so good, because it just kind of gives you like a little taste of like what life could be like. Like just it's like a whole hypothetical world of like, if we could get out of our own ways and just get out of the stuff that's kind of like holding us back. If we could just be together as people and just grow, like what kind of world could we create? And it just does such a fantastic job of like the family dynamics as they change and evolve, the characters as they grow and mature. Unlike a lot of shows that sometimes it's fun to watch a character who just never grows, never changes. I don't know that anyone was tuning in to an episode of The Office hoping that Dwight would just kind of get it together and then be like, hey, I'm a nice guy now. Or Michael Scott walks out of his office and he's like, hey, I realize I've been awkward all these years. My apologies. I shall now be normal. But it is fun to see, you know, a family like evolve and change and grow, and just like representation matters, and just having like the storylines that they were able to put together in this show, to present like a homosexual couple in a way that wasn't like over the top, or like where they're just a normal couple, and it was just putting that on television, I think, is really important. I just like they managed to do all, like they managed to give you a message without ever preaching at you, by just presenting what life could be like if we just actually, cared about each other and just tried to be better people. What if we all just tried to be better people? And it's just a really fun show, really beautiful, and really hysterical. If you have ever seen any of the Best in Show movies, any of like the mockumentary series, Spinal Tap, Waiting for Guffman, Best in Show, The Mighty Wind, any of those, like Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara together are just magic. They're just magic. They belong in the Louvre. Put them in a museum and just, like they can be living exhibits. So I cannot recommend it. Like, obviously, it's number one on my list. I cannot recommend the show high enough. Please, 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 please go watch it. But when you start it and you're like, oh, these people are just the worst. They're supposed to be the worst. Stick with it. Get to season 2. Get to season 3. They're short seasons. This is like it's not a big long 6 seasons. You can do it, Brody. And you are like the perfect blending of Alexis's love interests. So you are Mutt and Ted rolled into one man. And if you ever watch the show, you'll know what that means.
Yeah, I have no idea what that means.
You kind of look like Mutt, but your personality's you're like a Ted.
Interesting.
I think you and Amy would really like it. It's only 80. It's 80 eps. 80 eps.
Are you kidding me? 80 episodes.
That's nothing.
That's so much, Charlie.
That's nothing.
What do you mean it's
zero.
nothing? That's 80 episodes. 80
That's
episodes. That's like months of watching if I watch one episode a day. And that's one episode every day for months.
If you could commit to an hour a day, you can knock out 3 episodes a day.
Oh my goodness. I can't commit to an hour a day.
You could do it. You'd be done in less than a month. But here's the thing. You're not going to want to just watch 3 episodes. You're going to want to hit that next. And then you'll be like, oh man, did we just watch 6 episodes in a row? Yes, we did. Because it's that good. Because you're going to be crying. It's going to be changing your life. And it's going to be making you think. It's going to be making you fall in love. All right, anyway. Okay. There it is. That's my pitch. Stevie Budd. She's awesome.
There you go. All right.
David Patrick.
My number 1. I am going to guess that you have never seen this show before.
Okay. But will I have heard of this show? I'm going to put that on my mind.
Will you have heard of it? Maybe. It's on HBO.
Okay.
It's Silicon Valley.
Oh, no. Yeah, I've seen Silicon Valley. All right, go on.
You've seen all of it?
I have not seen all of it, but I have seen it.
Oh, okay.
Not all of it.
Now, this show just like hit it all for me. It's geeky. It's nerdy. It's tech stuff. There are jokes in the first season. There's a Mass Effect joke. The season finale to the first episode might be like the funniest piece of television I've ever seen, as they are figuring out this algorithm. And that
is a funny episode.
It is so funny. I was dying when I was watching this. Now this went like 6 seasons. We watched all of it. So you can watch 6 seasons
of this, no problem. Okay, all right, go on.
Well, hey, this was 6 seasons over like years. I would subscribe to HBO just so we could watch this show. That's how much I enjoyed this show. It just, I liked the characters. I thought they were all funny. I enjoyed just every season kind of had its own like arc of troubles as they're going through this Pied Piper. You know, the first season is, you know, let's set this whole thing up. Richard Hendricks is, you know, a program developer for this large Google-esque company, you know, and he comes up with this algorithm that can encode stuff at a faster rate than anything else. And so they come up with this company, and then the rest of the series is this development of the company, and it's 2 steps forward and 1 step back all the time. They get investors, and investors are scammer, you know, and then they do this, and then but this happens, you know. And TJ Miller was in it, and then he got these all sorts of accusations, so they wrote him out of the show, you know. And but all of the guys were just, it was so funny. And me being a tech guy, you know, I got my degree in information systems, and so I love my tech. And so they're talking about all this tech, and they're talking about, you know, coding, and they're talking about you know, all this stuff. They're talking about video games, they're talking about, you know, all this. And I enjoyed this show so much. This is a show that I would watch again from the beginning through the end, and I would enjoy it, and I would laugh at it, and yeah, I just enjoyed all of it. It had the awkward moments, it had the, you know, one of the main characters after the first season died in real life, and they had to like
it was sad,
like put in like a new person to kind of be like that character but not that character,
right?
And like, yeah, it's just, yeah, this
did it have a satisfying end? Did it kind of wrap up nicely?
It did, and that was one of the things. Thank you for bringing that up. It did have.
I'm curious because I only saw like the first three seasons, I think.
Okay, so, it did have a satisfying ending, where, you know, it was, I don't want to spoil it, but I was happy with the ending where everybody ended up. I felt like it was good for the characters. Yeah, it was good. You could tell that it, you know, it wasn't just, okay, we're canceled, we need to like do something. Like, it felt like this was a thought out ending to really have closure for all the different characters.
Right.
So I enjoyed that show immensely. I was so excited. Every time a new season would come out, I'd be so excited.
I'm so glad this is your number one, because from now on, whenever you tell me that you can't invest into 6 seasons of a show I like, I'll just simply remind you that your number one show on this list was indeed 6 seasons long. And you said, and I quote, and I could watch all 6 seasons again. So yeah. Just saying.
I also watched those 6 seasons over years, Charlie. Years.
Years.
Also, this is an HBO show, so they're like 8 episodes, 10 episodes. These are not long
53
seasons.
Total episodes.
You're throwing like, oh,
80
it's only
episodes.
It's only like
17 more episodes.
It's only like nine seasons, so there's only like 20 episodes per season.
Yeah, because you know, when you're really enjoying something, what you want is less of it. You're like, boy, this pizza is delicious. So glad I only got half of a slice.
If there was more pizza, I would eat myself sick, and then I'd be like, that was too much.
Why not just eat
have
till you're full, and then know that you have more delicious food tomorrow.
I shouldn't have eaten that much. No,
you can never get full on Schitt's Creek. If you're out there and you only watch 3, if you're only listening to 3 recommendations from my list, watch Schitt's Creek, watch Community, and watch Ted Lasso. If you're only going to watch 3, I mean, look, go back, watch all 10. But if I can only get you to watch 3, those would be the 3. Make it happen. Go do it. Get out of here. Stop. I mean, literally stop this video right now. Get out of here. Look, I just got word that we are now sponsored by Hulu.com. So if you don't have Hulu, subscribe. Tell them that Talk Talk Punch sent you. You'll get a discount. And if you don't, for some reason, the message Brody.
The rest of Talk Talk Punch does not endorse what Charlie is saying. does not.
It's a very limited time offer.
And actions of Charlie Hickman.
It's free, and just message Brody. He'll give you his login code. No big deal.
I don't know. I don't have Hulu.
All right, we're all gonna pitch in. Everyone pitch in $1. Brody's getting a Hulu account.
Oh my goodness. So yeah. So there's
There it
my
is.
top 10. There it is. Now you said you had honorable mentions.
Oh, I did. Yeah. Do you want to hear
A lot
something?
of them. And this is a long episode, so
Yeah, I don't need to get into any detail, but like when I was a kid, love me some Night Court and Cheers. There was an HBO sitcom called Dream On, which 2 seasons exist on DVD and the rest of it gone forever because they will never put it on DVD because of, I don't know, rights issues with some of the old TV shows they used to use. But Wendy Malick and Brian Benben, like that was, I think, really good. I don't know because I can never watch it again. It's not on HBO Max. They won't even put it on their streaming services. So it was from the creators of Friends. It was funny. I think it was inappropriate for me to watch when I was a kid, but I did anyway because I had my own TV and HBO.
jeez.
I enjoyed Malcolm in the Middle when I was younger. Arrested Development. We talked about Parks and Rec is fantastic. The Office, of course, wonderful. Some of the animated shows that I would have loved to put on my list, like Bob's Burgers, Archer, Futurama, The Simpsons, Big Mouth on Netflix. BoJack Horseman is a cartoon show where this, more than any show that we've talked about, the first few episodes are just trash. And after that is a show where a talking horse that will make you feel so deeply about your life that you will walk away. Like, how is there a cartoon horse making me so damn sad? And he will. That show is gut-wrenching to watch, and it is a cartoon horse. It is the most surreal experience because the things that they deal with are so real and so heavy and so dark, and it's like all through these talking animals. It's a trip. But if you ever put that one on, know that the first few episodes are garbage, and then all of a sudden they decide this show could be a lot better, and then it's fantastic. But not one I want to revisit often because it makes me feel so sad.
Interesting.
I love Rick and Morty.
That's one I've thought about watching.
It's Always Sunny. Anyway, that's a list of some. I could go on, but I won't.
I'm sure you could go on for another hour just on.
I could. This should have been a solo pod, but down below, let us know Charlie's top 26 TV shows of all time.
Oh my goodness.
Let us know down below what your favorite shows are. Do we miss some? We probably missed some.
Yeah.
I know we didn't. Neither of us had Friends or even thought about Friends for our list. I'm not a big Friends guy. I remember
I never got into Friends.
I missed it.
Never
I
got
remember
into
watching it all on DVD because my younger sister loved it and she had all the DVDs. So I finally got around to watching it and I was like, "Hey, you guys hearing about Chandler and Monica? That's pretty big news, right?" And it's like 10 years after everyone else had already seen it. So I missed it. I'm sure it was great at the time.
So we only had one crossover between our lists,
and it happened to be at the same spot. So
and it was number 2. So definitely go watch Community. If you haven't seen Community, go watch Community.
We agree on the whole night.
It's on Netflix, and everybody has Netflix. So.
Yeah, it's also on Hulu, and everyone except for Brody has Hulu.
Apparently, yep.
All right. Well, like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned for the next episode, and we will see you next time.
Adios.
Adios.